Rabbit Hole Roundup, episode 71. Andy Grammer, street performer to big time artist. So guys, in today's edition of the Rabbit Hole Roundup, I have some super powerful Andy Grammer clips from a podcast like he went on a few weeks ago. Now of course he's one of my favorite artists, and I do hope to have another video on him as well on the Jared and James channel, as well as plenty of snippets and plenty of clips talking about him, because this guy just radiates positivity in his music and his overall life. So these clips talk about shaping the invisible as an artist, as well as the importance of having an allegiance to doing as opposed to doing well.
Just do it!
I also have a very interesting TJ McConnell clip, basketball player on the Indiana Pacers, which talks about, is working hard actually a skill? And this leads me into a story of my own, being the smallest player at the Harvard basketball camp back in high school, and how I was able to prove myself. I have a post from Kevin Love which talks about not tying your identity into what you do, but rather who you are and focusing on that as being of more importance. Which also leads me into a Mr. Schutz clip on why test scores don't define you.
School is for chumps.
But also why whining about things like that you know that you're gonna have to do anyways will make the thing even more miserable. So sometimes it's just about embracing the suck. I have another really great Josh Peck clip from the George Janko podcast which talks about how a big brother changed his life, and this really resonated with me as someone who's helped kids plenty of times in my own life, and so I believe has made a massive positive impact on so many kids as they have on mine as well. And I also have a LeCrae clip which talks about being more focused on creating a movement as opposed to just creating a moment when it comes to your content and your music. So without further ado, let's dive deeper now. Rabbit hole time, let's go.
This is your last chance. After this, there is no turning back. And I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
What's happening, guys? Welcome back to the channel. I'm Jared Weiss. If you guys didn't know that, must mean now subscribe to the channel so you know what to do. Hit that subscribe button, be sure to leave a like, drop a comment, let me know your thoughts on this video. Follow me on every platform, and if you guys haven't done so already, make sure to check out my book, Fight Through by Jared Weiss. All links purchased on my website, which is jaredryanweiss.com. That's JAREDRYANWEISS.com. Buy the book, support me. Also make sure to check out all the awesome shirts I have on there. Every shirt is 100% organic cotton, designed by me. All of them have their own words of motivation on them too. So any support at all is very much appreciated. So let's dive deeper now. So I'm going to be starting with two really powerful Andy Grammer clips I saw the other day, which talk about shaping the invisible as well as being a street performer for 4+ years, as well as this idea of having an allegiance to doing as opposed to doing well. Let's watch the first clip together.
How many songs did you write until you got Keep Your Head Up?
But you gotta keep your head up.
Man, I don't know. Probably about 100, I'd say.
In terms of getting to that song that you know will connect, how do you know?
You don't. That's the other thing.
Okay.
It's there's no for sure here. That one was pretty, it is wild though, so what we're doing here as songwriters is we're literally, Leonardo da Vinci says you're shaping the invisible, which is so sick. It's invisible, but the more that you get into it, you can kind of get a sense of oh, this is the foundation, I'm putting this here, that melody, I hear in colors a little bit, so I'm this needs a little more green or something. So you're literally architecture of the invisible, and then it's worth nothing until it all gels, and then it's worth everything. So you're just consistently trying, doing so much kind of research and development on the street. When I had Keep Your Head Up, it was oh, everybody sings this with me the first time. So I have an invisible thing that has now made its way into the world as it's here. I had a sense that this thing's got something.
So first off, this idea of shaping the invisible is such an interesting way of looking at things as an artist, because of course, it's actually what it means to be an artist or a content creator or an athlete or a musician.
This is an art class. It's heaven.
Anyone out there who does any type of creative work, you are essentially taking what's inside your head right now and putting it out into the universe, which is why I believe all of us are so powerful, and all of us have this divine spirit within us. And it's not everyone out there is going to see what we have right away. Not everyone is going to appreciate our gifts, but that's why we have to be the ones to stay clear on that vision. We can't let other people decide our worth and our value for us. And furthermore, we have clip number 2.
You're trying to find the shortcut, there is no shortcut. So nah, honey, I'm good. Make your allegiance to doing, not doing great. I like to tell everybody, just make some shitty art. Lower the bar, don't invite in the criticism until you have 100. I always tell people just go write 100 songs. Don't say anything else. Just, if you are the type of person that will actually write 100 songs, I promise you will be so much better off than when you started if you go through the process of actually writing 100. You will stumble on beautiful things. You'll take huge swings in different areas that are not you, but then you'll try a swing in an area oh, there's something about that's kind of cool. I was really big into basketball in high school. And when you're at a high level, you start just passing without looking in different areas.
Yeah.
If you're starting, just get to 100 first. That's the baseline. Get to 100 and then reassess. But don't make your allegiance to making a great song, because you're already going to try to do that. And by telling yourself that it's got to be a hit, that just makes you more critical and is not fun and doesn't help. So just be like, I'm just someone who writes songs. I'm a songwriter. Write 100 songs and come talk to me.
But you gotta keep your head up.
So first off, I absolutely love the basketball analogy and basketball reference. And this is like a super powerful reminder to just take action. Yes, it might not always be great, but take that first step and you can always figure out the rest as you go. I know this does not mean just going without a plan, but know that you can adjust as you go. However, if you never actually start, you're never going to have any information to go off and to learn from. And it's like, I've been making content and videos for a few years now, and yet I'm still always learning and still always adjusting.
Any day, Squidward.
I'm always looking for ways to level up my ability, to convey what I'm thinking in my head, and put that into useful forms that I believe have the power to help people. But it took time to find my voice, and to discover my own unique style that I believe works best for me. So as he says, have an allegiance to doing, not necessarily doing well. And it's like, as a basketball player, as he said, you start with the fundamentals, but then like, just simply by playing more and getting a better feel for the game, all of a sudden you're making no-look passes, you're dribbling the ball between your legs and doing all this cool stuff. And of course, mistakes are going to be part of the journey, but as cliche as it sounds, you don't have to be great to start, but you do have to start to be great. Next, we have a TJ McConnell clip, player from the Indiana Pacers, who's carved out a really cool niche for himself in the NBA as essentially a hustle player, who also happens to be very skilled and very crafty too.
I genuinely believe that playing hard is a skill, because if it wasn't, everyone would do it. And, you know, when I came in and like, I'm trying to tell you about this guy, Chris Babcock, he's like, you need to stand out. Nobody picks up full court, and you need to make that your calling card. And so we got in the gym 3 times a day, got in elite shape. And he's like, you're going to pick everyone up full court, and that's what you're going to hang your hat on. And it's something that I've created an identity about. And if you play really hard and make life hell for the other team, I mean, the other stuff like the offense, that shit will fall into place. But if you're going and playing to exhaustion every time you're out there, like I said, it gives you a chance to make a roster and to get more minutes. I mean, I feel like I've made a 10-year NBA career on, you know, just outplaying people. I mean, you have to have skill, obviously, but just making life really difficult on both ends.
So I can totally relate to this. Being an undersized player, and almost always being the smallest player on every court I ever went on, I had to find ways to earn my time because no one was ever just going to hand it to me. So I also often picked up guys full court, and no matter what, made it known that I was the hardest worker on that court, and I was going to fight through anything. So also a really cool story that you guys can actually read about more in depth in my book, Fight Through It. But relatively brief summary. So my senior year of high school, I go to the Harvard basketball camp, a D1 camp, as the smallest player there, 5'6", and I, along with my team, was playing really well, but I was coming off the bench until our starting point guard got hurt right before our first playoff game. So I get called on start in this playoff game, and I think before this game, my coach at the camp had his doubts about me as being a legit basketball player. So a kid on the other team was actually the leading scorer at the camp up to this point, and he was getting every college look. So I decided to pick him up full court the whole game and cause absolute havoc. He ends up scoring 6 points on horrible shooting, and I have a bunch of steals, blocks, and even chipped in with 9 points of my own. We win the game, and I get named MVP of that game by my coach. And I actually got my first college look / offer from that game. So yeah, he's totally right. When it comes to making playing hard your calling card, it can definitely get you places. Now also, as time went on, I was always working on leveling up my shooting, my ball handling, and trying my best to become really good at these things. But I made sure that I never lost that grit, and this is transferred into all areas of my life. However, I find it interesting when he says that working hard is a skill because if not, then everyone would do it. I'm not sure on that, but could it be like that other bigger players just have other priorities and these guys don't have to worry about playing as hard? Or how like all the non-underdogs don't have to show that grit and prove themselves every time to stay on that court? I'm not sure, but like for any other underdogs out there, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Next up, this leads me into, I want to share a really powerful Kevin Love post and not tying your identity into what you do, whether as an athlete, whether as a worker, but actually being more concerned with who you are as a person. So the post reads, I played basketball for as long as I can remember. It gave me structure, it gave me opportunity, it gave me purpose. But for a long time, it also gave me a false sense of who I was. I thought my worth was tied into my stat line, that love, respect, and even identity had to be earned through performance. And if I wasn't performing, who was I? It took hitting some of my lowest points to realize that I am more than my sport. I am a son, a father, a friend, a husband, a mental health advocate, a learner, a work in progress, and I am proud of all of it. That's one of the reasons why I started the Kevin Love Fund, to help the next generation of athletes realize that their value doesn't begin or end with the game. For Mental Health Awareness Month, we're launching our new More Than My Sport campaign to remind athletes your identity is bigger than your work on the court or field. We've created a free curriculum that gives athletes, educators, and mentors the tools to help athletes explore who they are beyond competition and start building a stronger, more balanced sense of self. Because eventually the game changes. Every athlete transitions, and when that moment comes, they deserve to feel whole, not lost. So here's my ask. Take a moment this month to reflect. Record a video, share your story, complete the sentence, I am more than my sport, I am. Let's show young athletes everywhere that they're not alone and they're never just one thing. So as many of us know, Kevin Love is of course a famous longtime NBA basketball player. And as I know personally, from being a lifelong athlete myself, who always worked and continues to work incredibly hard on my game, this was something I struggled with myself. When you get praised every time you play well and score a lot of points, while getting screamed at to the point of tears every time you don't play well, you start to think that that's who you are, and that what defines you is your stats, or how good you are as an athlete. But I've since come to the realization that who you are as a person will always be more important than what you do. Allow yourself to be defined by the way you treat others and how you treat yourself. And of course, be someone who gives a full effort and has a good positive attitude, because those are all things you have control over. You can't always control whether or not you score 20 points, or whether or not you hit a home run, or whatever the case may be. So make sure that you always have principles for who you are to fall back on, because this is going to be better ways of defining yourself and defining your true value. And this leads me perfectly into my favorite positive teacher on TikTok, Mr. Shoots, who talks about state testing. So let's watch together.
So I'm a 5th grade teacher, and my students started their state testing this week. And here's how I feel about it. The reality of these assessments is this. Do these tests reflect the true character of each of my students? Absolutely not. Does it reflect truly how intelligent they are, how creative they are, the type of character they have, the choices they make, the people they hang out with? Absolutely not. Do I have students sitting in class right now that are going to grow up to graduate high school and become plumbers, electricians, welders, pipe fitters, linemen, musicians, singers, maybe even go to college? Are these assessments when they're 10 and 11 years old going to have any impact on that whatsoever? Absolutely not. But here's the truth of it all. These assessments aren't going anywhere. And one piece of advice that I give to my students almost on a daily basis about a lot of different things is this. If you're in the middle of a circumstance, or you're asked to do something, or you have a task that you can't avoid doing, save your breath. Don't whine, don't complain. Because number one, you're going to look silly, and number two, you're going to have to do that thing you don't want to do anyways while feeling completely miserable. So if you're a teacher or a student and you're in the middle of your own state testing, do what I tell my students to do. Sit there, grind it out, put forth your best effort, and we can live with the results. Love you.
So first off, extremely important once again to remember that any of these external events and things in your life don't define your worth and don't define your value as a person, and that's of course a trap that so many people fall into. Focus on what you do have control over, and you should always do your best to perform well. But in this case, once again, school and tests don't measure all areas of intelligence.
Now, Pocahontas never went to college.
And often just show how good of a test taker you are. So this is of course one of my many issues when it comes to the whole school system. And adding on to this, it was a very powerful point when he said that when it's something you can't change, save your breath, because whining or complaining is just wasting extra energy on something you're gonna have to do anyways. So he's totally correct in how sometimes you just have to embrace the suck. And then after that, you can always live with the results. Next, I want to share an amazing Josh Peck clip where he talks about a really powerful Big Brother story he had on the George Janko podcast once again.
I have a big brother from the Big Brother Foundation that I've had since I'm 8, Dan. He was the best man at my wedding.
You still talk to Dan?
30 years this year together, and he's one of the greatest men ever. I'll choke up talking about him.
Oh, I love that.
Because he just
If
showed
you don't mind
up.
me asking, how did you meet him? When did he come into your life?
My mom got me a big brother from the Jewish Big Brothers Foundation every other Sunday since I was 8 years old. Pick me up, take me bowling, take me to a Yankee game, get lunch.
If you don't mind me asking,
the sweetest,
I've never even heard about
You
this.
never heard of Big Brothers?
No.
Or Big Sisters? Basically, the whole foundation is for a child who grows up without a mother or father. They would get a big brother or a big sister, and the people are really vetted, obviously background check, put through 6 months of training. I just think it's such a unique foundation because these people are giving the greatest commodity, which is time.
Yeah.
And
How old was Dan when he met you?
Young. It's even crazier now that I think about it. I was 8, he was 20 24, 25. Like, could you imagine like being that selfless at that age?
Right,
Like,
what a heart.
Like, did you ever ask him like what possessed him to do that?
He grew up in a great family. I think like the spirit of giving and charity was big in his family growing up. He works in finance, and he was like, I was like a young stockbroker working in the financial district, like all the typical pitfalls of like chasing money and fast life. And he said, you know, it just occurred to me that this could be really meaningful to do.
Wow.
So, one of the most amazing things when it comes to working with and having the opportunity to help kids out, as I know from my own experience, is that it gives you the opportunity to be the hero that you needed when you were that age. I was a camp counselor for many years, I've also coached basketball, and I was a babysitter for a bunch of different kids too. So I know the impact that you could have on a kid's life, and the impact like they could have on yours as well. One of these kids just so happens, James, who co-founded the Jared and James channel with me, ended up becoming my best friend, and I've also remained close to some of the other kids. So this story from Josh truly hits home with me, and I love how he says like, these people are giving the greatest commodity, which is time. And giving back is an unbelievable feeling, and like I said, I believe that like, when we give back, we get rewarded as well. So amazing story, and these are the types of stories that like, I love seeing and I love hearing about, so I really hope like, we're able to highlight more stories like these. Which leads me into, I was just thinking about how the people who tend to complain the most about social media being negative and about social media being this horrible place are people who are on social media.
You're crazy. Am I?
And I get it. Oftentimes, they're not necessarily wrong, but do you realize like you can be part of the change so that like this place doesn't have to be this horrible place? I mean, as I keep saying, I've gotten so much value from social media, and as I've said many times in the past, I'm all for it and I'm all about getting out in nature and not always being glued to our phones, but I also don't believe like it has to be this all or nothing thing. So here's the thought. Try sharing some more positive stories on here.
That makes sense to me.
Try finding some positive news. Instead of telling people to get off of social media completely, maybe you can actually work on making social media a better place, just as how like you do your own house. Work on making your own social media page a place like that people can come to make their lives better. It's like social media isn't the devil, it's just an avenue for expression, so it's actually about what each of us makes it into. And all of us on social media play a role and play a part in this. Now finally in this week's episode, I want to share a really good Instagram clip I saw the other day coming from rapper LeCrae, and the headline for this post was The Truth About Viral Content.
Every day, that's what they're telling you. Post every day, stay in the algorithm, and then you're going to catch you a viral moment. But let me tell you the truth. That's not going to give you sustainability. It's not going to give you a career. See, what it'll give you if you're an artist, especially, is it's going to give you a moment. But it's not going to give you a movement. What do you want more, the moment or the movement? Movements build legacy. The reason why I've lasted this long in the game is not just because I've adapted through all the eras, which I have done. But it's also because I never chased a hit. I never chased just making a hit. I chased sustainability. I chased connectivity. Hits came, but it was like because you're working, trying to be a craftsman, you're giving depth. You're making music that people can connect to. Like music that's not just background noise, but it's music people carry with them for the rest of their lives. When people come up to you and say, man, your song changed my life, it's because you weren't just trying to chase a hit. You were literally trying to connect. And right now, I get it. Music, you know, you want to make a career off of it, but you're not going to do that chasing hits. Like just chasing viral TikTok sounds, right? You got to tell music that's someone else's story, because everybody's a star in their own feed right now. Everybody is using your song as a background music for their own personal movie. So at least make music that people love. Make music that you love. Make music that resonates, that outlives trends, right? It's been that way since David was playing the lyre for King Saul's heart, right? The music had meaning. So make music that's medicine, that's substance, that has meaning, that has soul. It's not just transactional.
I really love like how he says, do you want a moment or a movement? Being a content creator, this message really hits home, especially as someone who's not willing to sell out my message or my authenticity in order to just like follow the algorithm or to copy others just to get views. And it can be frustrating seeing other people who don't work as hard as me, who haven't worked for nearly as long as me, seeing these people blow up when I know like that I deserve it. It doesn't feel right. But he is so correct. Anyone out there can create a viral moment. But while doing that, give you loyal followers who truly care about and resonate with your message. And how many out there can do this for 5, 10, 20 years? Because that's what it takes to build a movement. And as I said, hits will come along the way, but it's not about chasing those. Anyways guys, I really hope that you guys enjoyed all the messages from today's video. If you did, make sure to leave a like, drop a comment, subscribe to the channel, let me know your favorite topic. I will catch you guys next time. Stay positive, stay hustling, stay grinding. Catch you next time. Peace.